The Matsumoto family was a picture of tranquility and happiness. Living in Fukuoka, Japan, they embodied the ideals of a close-knit and hardworking household. The father, Ryosuke Matsumoto, was a respected businessman in his early 40s. Known for his diligence and calm demeanor, Ryosuke worked tirelessly to provide a comfortable life for his family. His wife, Noriko, was in her late 30s, a homemaker who dedicated her days to raising their children and creating a warm and welcoming home. Together, they had 2 children, 9-year-old Ayumi, a bright and curious girl with a love for art, and 6-year-old Kaito, an energetic and playful boy who idolized his father. The Matsumoto family was well liked in their neighborhood. They lived in a quiet residential area of Fukuoka, a bustling city known for its cultural heritage and modern development. Neighbors described them as friendly and approachable, often seen enjoying weekend outings or spending time at home together. Ayumi and Kaito were the kind of children who brought joy to everyone they met, their laughter a familiar sound in the neighborhood. Life for the Matsumotos seemed perfect, until the summer of 2000, when their world would come crashing down. On a humid July evening, the Matsumoto family settled into their usual routine. Ryosuke returned home from work, greeted by the smell of dinner prepared by Noriko. The children, excited to share stories from their day, chattered as the family gathered around the table. It was an ordinary scene, one that many families in Japan could relate to. But by the next morning, the Matsumoto's home would become the site of one of Japan's most horrific crimes. The neighbors first noticed something was wrong when the Matsumoto house remained eerily silent the following day. Normally, Ayumi and Kaito could be seen playing outside or leaving for school, but that morning, there was no sign of them. The family car, a silver sedan, was also missing. Concerned, one neighbor decided to check on the family, knocking on the door and calling out their names. When there was no response, the neighbor peered through a window, and what they saw inside would haunt them forever. The police were called, and what they discovered inside the Matsumoto home was nothing short of horrifying. The family was found bound and strangled, their bodies carefully laid out in different rooms. Ryosuke and Noriko were in the living room, their hands tied behind their backs. Ayumi and Kaito were found in their shared bedroom, similarly restrained. The scene suggested that the family had been caught off guard and subdued before they could resist. The house had been ransacked, with drawers pulled out and valuables missing. This was no random act of violence, it was a calculated and methodical crime. The brutality of the murders shocked even seasoned investigators. It was clear that the perpetrators had acted with precision, leaving little evidence behind. The bindings used on the family were consistent with those found in other robberies, leading police to suspect a connection to a larger criminal operation. The community, meanwhile, was left reeling. How could such a heinous act happen to a family so beloved? The investigation quickly became one of the largest in Fukuoka's history. Police scoured the crime scene for clues, collecting fingerprints, fibers, and other potential evidence. Forensic experts analyzed the bindings and the method of entry into the house, determining that the perpetrators had likely entered through a back window. Surveillance footage from nearby streets was reviewed, and witnesses were interviewed. Slowly, a pattern began to emerge. In the months leading up to the Matsumoto murders, there had been a string of similar crimes across Japan. Affluent families were targeted in their homes, bound, murdered, and robbed. The level of planning and execution suggested that these were not isolated incidents but the work of an organized group. The perpetrators seemed to have detailed knowledge of their victims' routines and financial status, choosing targets carefully to maximize their gains while minimizing the risk of getting caught. A breakthrough in the case came when police traced stolen items from the Matsumoto home to a network of pawnbrokers and black market dealers. This led investigators to a group of foreign nationals, primarily Chinese immigrants, who had been operating a sophisticated robbery ring. The group, later dubbed the Fukuoka Robbery Gang, had been involved in a series of violent crimes, including the murders of other families. The gang's ringleader, known for his ruthlessness, was identified as the mastermind behind the operation. One by one, members of the gang were arrested. Their confessions provided chilling details about the night of the Matsumoto murders. The gang had chosen the Matsumoto family because of their perceived wealth and the secluded location of their home. On the night of the crime, they broke into the house under the cover of darkness, catching the family off guard. The Matsumotos were tied up to prevent resistance, and the gang systematically searched the house for valuables. Despite the family's pleas for mercy, the gang decided to kill them to eliminate any witnesses. The trial of the Fukuoka robbery gang was one of the most closely watched in Japan's history. The courtroom was packed with journalists, legal experts, and members of the public eager to see justice served. Prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence, including forensic findings, surveillance footage, and the suspect's own confessions. The testimonies of the gang members were particularly harrowing, revealing the cold and calculated nature of their crimes. The defense attempted to argue that some members of the gang had acted under duress or lacked full knowledge of the crimes. They cited the difficult circumstances that had driven these individuals to a life of crime, highlighting the socio-economic pressures faced by immigrants in Japan. While these arguments provided context, they did little to mitigate the severity of the gang's actions. The verdict was clear. The ringleader and several key members of the gang were sentenced to death, while others received lengthy prison terms. For the Matsumoto family's friends and neighbors, the sentences brought some measure of closure, though it could never undo the pain of their loss. The Matsumoto family murders left a lasting impact on Japan. The case highlighted the vulnerabilities in the country's immigration and law enforcement systems, leading to reforms aimed at preventing similar tragedies. It also sparked a broader conversation about crime and public safety, reminding communities of the importance of vigilance and solidarity. For those who knew the Matsumotos, their memory lives on as a symbol of the innocent lives lost to senseless violence. Ayumi and Kaito, with their boundless energy and bright futures, are remembered as the heart of the family. Ryosuke and Noriko, devoted parents and partners, are celebrated for their kindness and dedication. Their story serves as a cautionary tale and a call to action, reminding us of the fragility of life and the need to protect those we hold dear. Thank you for joining us in revisiting this tragic case. If you found this story compelling, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth true crime investigations. And as always, stay safe.